We're going to get into the bigger time frames, right? Usually on Saturdays, we kind of take a step back and look at the bigger time frames. And I thought today would be a great opportunity to talk about what should I invest in? How do I look at charts in order to invest? And I think that that would be a powerful thing. We are adding that section to the course, which is only $100 in June. So let's look at all of the stocks that we do cover and we'll get into some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward. Even looking at AMC and GME and seeing if any of these would be considered good investments for the next year or 2 years. Let's get into it. Now, when it comes to investing, it's very cool to just look at life more simple, right? It's good to look at it very simply. You don't need a bunch of drawings on the chart and things like that. You just want to kind of think, is this a good time to invest? And how I want you to think about this from a monthly scale is it a good time? If I was looking at this like it was a 30-minute chart, or if it was a 2-hour chart, would this be a good time to take a trade? And I think that is very, very useful. So as we look at the SPY here on the monthly chart, what do we just notice here about this monthly chart? Well, we notice it's been climbing for a very long time recently, ever since we had a lot of money pumped into the system down in these areas. So we see a pump up, and this would be where I consider myself chasing. I don't necessarily consider this a good investment for the next year because this could easily see some kind of pullback down to the center line or something like that. So the times where you actually want to invest are going to pretty much be when you come down to the center line, you have a positive trend, right? And we end up curling up into positive territory. It's that simple. It really is very, very simple. There's a little bit more into it that we're going to go into in the course. But for now, we're just going to look at these monthly charts and really tell you, is the SPY a good investment? As of right now, your charts would say, hey, right now it's positive in positive territory, but I look like I might be creating some kind of divergence and I might be late to that overall move. The last time that you really wanted to technically invest based on the monthly chart would have been right here. And you notice a lot of people saying, oh, that seems late and front running. We don't front run because we want to make sure that momentum is with us. You'll notice shortly after that momentum was with you, what happened? A pullback, okay? A pullback happened, but that never crossed over the monthly chart. This right here was a signal that there was some big positivity to come for the SPY. And let's look at how the SPY has done since then. And to right now, you are up 22% in about a little over a year. So this is overall, it's very, very simple to do when you're in positive territory. It's more of these big crashes where it gets a little bit more complicated, but you'll notice that every time we're down in these areas, we don't necessarily make divergences on monthly charts. So really, if you just cross up and you're anywhere close to that center line, the charts would actually tell you, the MACD would tell you, hey, that's a good opportunity because you just got a lower price, and then that can build up over time. So really, when you look at it though, is the SPY a good buy right now as far as an investment goes? In my opinion, I would say no. The indicators down here are showing you some kind of divergence that is forming. Sure, that can keep going up and up and up, but that still doesn't mean it is the best time to invest. Even if this goes up and up and up like this, eventually it will pull back. Eventually it will pull back, just like right over here. So we want to pay attention to that. You want to see if you can get some kind of pullback and then find an entry later on, because you don't want to see some kind of rigged move on a weekly chart. And that's what we're going to go into in the course, our weekly charts and stuff like that as well, with investing $100 for the whole month of June. But I would say the first stock we're looking at is the SPY. Is that a good investment for the next, say, 12 to 24 months? I'd have to say no on this one. Maybe the Qs are a little bit different. Well, if we look back in the past, way over here, when we were really close to the center line, well, this right here would be a signal, hey, to invest. Now, look right before that, we actually had a crossing up. We go up for a little bit and that pulls back down. You see that little cross. This is a risk management play. We're going to talk about risk management for your investments as well in that course video. I'm creating it this weekend, so give me a little time. I like to make sure that the info is very simple but very precise. Okay, so we're going to look at that in the course over the weekend, and I'll be putting that up over the next few days. And if you've already taken the course, that is not going to be an added charge. It's just going to be added to the course. I want you guys to learn about these things because investing is very powerful. All right, so what do we see here? And then we crossed up right away. So right when this bar happened, it told you, hey, I'm crossing up and going positive, and boom, massive move. Let's look at that one real quick. So this cross up here, if you just use this simple strategy, okay, the high, the absolute high was 88% in under 2 years. So that is a very big deal. You see a pullback. Where does that pullback go? Well, it goes all the way to the center line. And then once you curl up into positive territory, very key thing right there, this means momentum was with you on this bar right here. What happens? Well, we see that pullback. That's where our risk management will come in the course. And then we see that push back up. Okay, so So what was this measurement here if we just took this and just held on to it because it never crossed back over on the MACD? Well, another 30% in about a year. So do you see, it keeps things much more simple. And the reason I want to show you guys this type of stuff is just because trading can be very difficult on the shorter time frames. There's a lot more rigged moves, but on a monthly time frame, you're more so catching the actual macro trend. Okay, so as long as you remain in positive territory and you keep seeing curl ups, you can see more positivity. Now, would this be a good time to invest now? Well, let's look back over here and say, would this right here be a good time to invest? You might say, yeah. You might say, yeah, there was a little bit of upside left, but is this a good investment, say, for 12 to 24 months? Well, that only lasted 153 days, so that only lasted, let's say, about 6 months, right? About 6 months, we'll say that, about 5 to 6 months. And so would it be a good investment up in these levels if I was going to chase into this as far as it goes for 12 to 24 months? I would have to say, no, it is not. I'm creating divergences on the MACD. If that ever curls over, that's going to put me in some trouble. I'm creating divergences on the RSI at the same time. That can put me into some trouble. So are the Qs at a good place to invest right now? I would have to say no. Apple is looking a little bit different, but the last time it was really close to the center line. Let's look at that, because those are the best ones. When you just see this go up into positive territory, it pulls back, and then you go close to the center line. Boom, right here, back in 2019, this price point of about $55. That was the last time you bought this thing, according to the MACD investment strategies. And what do we notice here? Okay, we pop up right here, and if we came all the way until, let's just say until that actually crossed over right here, you actually would have made 190% in about, we'll say about 3 years. Okay, 3 years. So was this a good, let's say 24-month investment according to the MACD right here? Well, let's measure out a few months here, right? Let's just do 365 days. Well, that actually hit, even at the low, let's take the low, 113%. But if we look at it right now, we actually did confirm some divergence here, and we're starting to pop up again. Now we're in positive territory. We have room on the RSI. This one does have an argument to head higher, but because I just showed you guys the SPY and the Qs, and those look like that would be a chase, this is starting to look like it would be a chase as well. You have to take into consideration the actual market and what is going on over there. And right now we look like we would be chasing some kind of move if we invested in something that's MACD is not close to the center line. Now, if this would have beat down further and then curled up, we get really close to that center line and then curl up, and you have a bunch of room here to go, then I would start to talk a little bit differently. So Apple is one that would say, hey, maybe it is a good investment on the monthly scale. But once we think about the SPY and the Qs, my opinion would be Apple is a no. Now Tesla, this is very interesting. Look in the past when it curled up and went positive right here at a price point of $30. Boom, that thing went to the upside. So back here's more when you want to think about things. Even right now, looks like we're in that area, so we'll pay attention to that. Tesla looks a little bit different, right? So we're gonna take this bar right here. We'll see, we'll go about a year, and look at that, in 1 year, 738%. So you can find stocks like this, and this will come into consideration when we talk about AMC and GME as well. Okay, investing in AMC and GME looks a little bit different right now than what we're seeing. Now for Tesla, it's a little bit different than Apple. It's a little bit different than the Qs, a little bit different than the SPY. It looks like it could see some kind of turn. Now, if that turned, you would have to be very patient. You would have to see that turn over time, see that green bars come up, and then that would probably be a good investment according to the MACD. That would be curling up in positive territory. It would look like a good 12-month play. Now, key thing about Tesla was right here. So right here, we tried to curl up and we failed. Okay, we failed. So this is where looking at those weekly charts, which is what we're going to teach you how to do in the course, will really come in handy. But you notice this, it would say, hey, yeah, okay, according to the MACD, we're positive in positive territory. So if I put my money in here, well, then by the next bar, I should be out. And that would have been a loss of about 19.73%. And that's why it's good to take the course, because we're going to teach you how to get in and out of a monthly trade based on a weekly chart. And we're going to make that this weekend. And once again, if you already took the course, it is completely it's going to be added on there. There's no extra charge. You already got the course, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope it was helpful for you, and you're going to get that weekly analysis as well. So for this right here, if this would curl up, that would say, hey, positivity. What does this tell me right now, though? It's negative. It is pointing down in negative territory. That is a bad thing, right? This is opposite of the Qs, of the SPY, of even Apple right now. So this would tell me, hey, is this a good investment? Well, this tells me to be patient because I need a few months of buying in order to see that momentum really take over and then see that monthly go up over time. So Tesla, it would need to curl up. I'd need to be patient. Being patient is very, very good. And if you're doing a monthly chart, hey, it just means work hard at your job, save extra cash, and then when this thing actually does cross up, you can invest more of your money. And that's overall how I do things with my investments. Am I invested in anything right now to the upside? Well, I just showed you the SPY and the Qs. I'm not invested in anything to the upside except for two particular stocks. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Amazon, great moves, and you'll notice this. We don't see as much wonkiness in a monthly chart. When that monthly momentum takes over right here, we see upside. Now we do get pullbacks, which is what we'll talk about in the weekly time frame, but overall, as long as this monthly doesn't cross back over, it's seen positivity. So let's look at this time right here, because Amazon was saying, hey, upside ever since June of 2023, it was saying upside here at 130. Now you're at a price point about exactly a year later, and you're up 42%. So this is how investing can help you out. You're never going to want to try to catch the actual bottom because you don't know when that is actually going to turn around. What you want is when momentum is confirmed to be going up in positive territory. That is a very, very key thing. Now, what are we noticing as of right now? Well, if we got in right now, we'd kind of be chasing. We're already overbought. We're getting towards overbought territory. We can do that a few times, but there will be pullbacks like over here. You see this massive run up. We get a pullback. We kind of fizzle out for a little bit and then pop. We get a little pop right here. Okay, so this crossed up right here, and we were very, very patient throughout this time for this pullback down towards the center line. We see that curl up, and how much would it have made all the way up until the last crossing? Let's do all the way to the last crossing. 33% in a year, a little over a year. Okay, a year and a half. That is a very, very good setup there. This is exactly what you want to look at. You will beat, most likely you will beat the S&P 500 by doing this on individual stocks every single year. Isn't that interesting? If you just zoom out to a monthly and use a simple strategy, and then you implement some risk management with that. That's what we're going to talk about in the course. Of course, we're going to talk about it very, very simply here. We're going to go way more into it and how to get a better position in the actual course. Using weekly and daily charts, we're going to teach you how to get better positions, meaning you will know that the momentum is starting to turn up, or at least there's a high probability the momentum will turn up, and maybe you're able to get in way down here instead, which if we take the difference there, this one here all the way up, let's say to the highs, 57%, but we're going to teach you how to get in way down here, which then goes up to 85%, 83%. So pay attention to that right now. What are we seeing on Amazon? Is it a good investment? Well, I'm seeing a little bit of divergence if that would curl over. So I still have to pay attention to that, but I don't want to chase. I can be very, very patient. I can stack more and more money. A lot of people have a lot of trouble being patient, and that is why trading is difficult for them. That is why investing is difficult for them, because they want to make sure a stock is really going up, and then the media tells you it's a good stock at that point. That's not what you want to do. When no one is really talking about it is when you want to buy, and this is going to be when no one is really talking about it. They're going to just be starting to talk about it. Okay, that's when you want to get into some sort of investment. We see the divergence at the highs here. If that rolls over, it's not going to be good. All I'm saying is this can go up another 50 points. This can go up another 50 points like this, and then see some kind of pullback, and then this would be a better investment, right? If this went up to this and curled back, and then curled back up, this would be a safer, more probable investment according to my MACD indicator. And all I'm doing is telling you what the MACD is saying, and right here it said, hey, I'm curling up and I could go positive, contrarian indication. This one was a little bit risky because still negative, right? But it still ended up going positive, and that is a very key thing, and we're gonna talk all about that in the course later on. All right, now we gotta talk about something weird, which is Nvidia. Everyone telling me right now, hey, this is a great investment. This is going back up to 1,000. I'm saying no. I'm saying no, it is not. And if it does, then that is going to be pretty much all of the money in other stocks, I think, leaks out of other stocks and goes directly into Nvidia in order for that to happen. I just do not see that happening, especially when I see a MACD like this. It is way up here in no man's land as far as overbought. So is Nvidia a good investment right now? No, it is not. It just isn't. According to your MACD, this would be a big, big chase. The last time that it curled up by the center line, this is what you want to see. You want to see by the center line curls up. Awesome. Okay, I get a green impression impression, that's confirmed already because it is in positive territory. Where was the last point where you could have invested using this exact strategy? Boom. And this is why I'm doing this, is because I want to be as helpful to you as possible. Okay, I want to be as helpful to you as possible. And this right here is a very, very simple thing that you can do instead of looking at little 15-minute, 5-minute charts. If you just zoom out, you can make a lot of money. And if you were able to hold throughout all this, we never curled back over on the MACD. We never curled down really on the RSI. And look at that, you could have made 354% in about a year and a half. These are things that you can do on these stocks that you really believe in, that you think are good companies, and you don't have to pay attention to anything in the media. Notice we have not mentioned one fundamental thing. We have not mentioned one fundamental thing. All you're doing is following momentum to a T, and you're trusting your indicators, and look at the run-ups you can catch. And you can wait till that momentum is with you, and you can make 350%. Now you have to find those individual stocks. You have to find those certain ones that you trust. And I really like tech stocks. That's why I talk about them. So Nvidia is one of those, and you can maybe look at a stock that's similar to Nvidia and see if it's starting to curl up on a monthly MACD. There's always a chart that you can trade. Right now, everything looks cooked. Is Nvidia a good investment? Hell no. This is a terrible investment right now. And I'm just going to tell you that because your MACD indicator is telling you that. Your RSI is telling you that this would be chasing to the maximum at this point. You need some kind of pullback. If this pulled back, went sideways just for a little bit, curled over for a little bit and then curled back up, this would be a better investment way over here than this right here, even though it is not that big of a difference in price. I know we say not that big of a difference in price, but for Nvidia, a 20% drop is not that big of a difference in price. So is this a good investment for 24, 12 months? No, it's just not. AMD is a similar stock, right? AMD is very, very similar. So when was the last time that we saw some kind of pullback? Awesome. We saw a pullback, and look where the MACD is. It's right at that level. It's right at that level where we last saw a big, big pullback. So is this a good time to invest? That's what we're going to get into right now. But let's point out the last time it said, hey, momentum is going up. So you notice momentum, it confirmed it, and then we saw a pullback right away. That's a trick move, and we're going to teach you about those on weekly charts and show you guys how to stay risk managed in those for your investments, so you don't end up, being scared and seeing this drop by, well, let's take the wick here, drop by something like 30% and you're freaking out, and then you hit that sell. All you need to look at here though is the monthly never curled back over. That is very key to understand. The monthly never curled back over. We're going to show you some signals where you could have gotten in earlier for AMD way down at these levels right here. That right there would be a good pump. But let's look at where this actually confirmed and then see where it actually has gone. Well, it was up almost 90% at one point. Now it's starting to curl over. So you want to pay attention to your signals in front of you. This was a solid run up. That is a very, very big move very quickly. So if we take that again and we just look, that would be a 60% move in 1 year. Now that is starting to close below my 5-month moving average. So I would say, hey, maybe I want to take some off the table. Is this a good investment right now though? Well, let's see. We got this upward price action, but we do have a divergence, and that looks like it is starting to roll. So we want to pay attention to that. Look at the divergence up here. Now, this would say there's a little bit of room on the RSI, on the MACD, but there will be better opportunities. Being patient will really help you out here. If this can experience some kind of pullback and then gain some ground back up, that would be a better investment. You do not necessarily want to be chasing. You don't want to be trying to do this when it's especially at levels where the last time the MACD crossed over, right? You don't want to necessarily do that. Your indicator is overall telling you right now, hey, we're way up here in higher levels. So you want to be very patient, save some money up, and that's perfectly fine. You just have more time to stack up more money, to be patient, to look around at certain charts. And when one of those crosses up, you can say, hell yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to invest. And then you just have to manage the trade, which managing the trade on a monthly chart in a weekly chart is much, much easier. You don't have to watch these charts all day, every day. You maybe just have to peek at it once a week. So is AMD a good investment right now according to the MACD? Right now it would say, hey, I'm positive in positive territory, but I'm creating divergence. So with my strategies, this one right here would be a no. And we're starting to see a theme here, aren't we? We're starting to see a theme here. And I think that's very interesting to see this theme throughout a bunch of stocks that we're covering today. Meta's one that you really could have paid attention to. This one suffered really, really hard in 2021 all the way into 2022. So that was a sizable pullback. And notice this, we were in negative territory, but this would be a contrarian bullish indication. And you notice we don't see as much wonkiness on a monthly chart when that momentum takes over. This is key to understand. I manage my own money. I never had, well, I had a 401k, but I've researched into 401ks, and you would actually make more money taking all that money, even with the matching, you would make more money just trading the SPY on a monthly chart than you would actually giving money into a 401k. I thought that was very interesting. Maybe we can talk about that sometime soon. But where was the last time that the MACD turned up? Well, this is where confirmation of momentum turning up was a contrarian bullish indication. And what you can do is, hey, maybe this means, hey, I take a chance on this because I trust my MACD. I know not as wonky stuff happens on the monthly chart in most of the stocks here. And what do? We see a cross up right here. And what do we get? We get a massive run up that never curls back down on this MACD. As of right now, with the price action of today, or of this month we're going on in right now, you'd be up 108% in about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, a year and a few months. So what does this tell me? This tells me, well, I've already made 100% or over 100% in a little over a year, 12 to 24 months. Now I might be thinking, hey, maybe I want to start to take profit because this thing is way up in no man's land. You're not even having the divergence. We talked about stocks that look like this are the parabolic ones, are the bubble ones that you want to watch out for. There are bubbles in every market, and we'll notice this thing is cooked to the upside. So if you wanted this to become a good investment again, you would at least need some kind of pullback to the center line because you don't want to chase here, right? You don't want to chase here because there could be some kind of disruption. There could be bank failures. There could be something really bad that comes out that causes this to just drop off. And if that dropped off, hey, what if that just curled right back up? Yeah, we curl down, we get towards that center line, we curl back up. You see that confirmation of more positivity. This is much, much better. You can save yourself a little bit of turmoil. You can collect some cash in this area and be very, very patient and then see if that thing turns up in positive territory. And that's the MACD telling you, hell yeah, this is a good investment. But as of right now, this is looking like a bubble. So is a bubble a good investment? I'd say for Meta, no. You're going to notice that Netflix, Google, Microsoft, all these things look the same. They just look like the MACD is telling you they're not good investments. Now let's look at AMC and GME. Now we do have a little bit more time in the month, right? We're only halfway through. But as of right now, if we just looked at this from an investment perspective, not a perspective of what's going on with it, anything like that, this is a curling up of the MACD in positive or in negative territory. So this would be a contrarian bullish signal as of right now. But I want to zoom out to just show you why is it that AMC sees weird price action, but every single chart I just showed you does not? And that's kind of fishy to me. But as of right now, what did we notice? The last time that it curled up gave us that bullish contrarian indication. Well, that was here. That was back in, that was back in September of 2020. And we'll notice there was a big run up, okay? There was a solid run up right here, and then that was given away. But say you invest at the end of the bar, okay, that was 25.35. This dip right here is what we're gonna teach you in the course, how to stay out of that so you don't lose a bunch or get feared out of a move, and then see that turn back up, confirming this move, getting you in early, okay? Now, this still would be considered early. Let's say $25, and let's see what happened with AMC. If we just treated it like a regular stock, we're not going to say anything that happened with AMC. We're just going to treat it from an investment perspective. You invest back in September of 2020. What happens ever since then? Well, we see a massive run up of 1,647%. So weirdly enough, this would be, hey, maybe look at the fundamentals a little bit. Make sure you know that this is a speculative thing. Make sure you know about what's going on because it is being forced down. But as of right now, you would say this is the only MACD that is down in negative territory, giving me a contrarian indication as of right now. You have to see if that actually forms by the end of the month, but you can be patient, stack cash, wait for that to see a strong move. Hey, if that starts to confirm above like a 20 or something like that, maybe that would be a good opportunity. But right now it's telling you in the month of June here, this is a green bar down here telling you that contrarian indication that we just showed you for Meta and all those other stocks. Now, GME, let's look at this one for a second. And the last time this curled up was actually November of 2019, and it went sideways for a long time. We'll talk about that in the course as well. But we'll notice here, what was this price? Okay, this price was $1.33, and we're not looking at the problem. We're just saying, according to this exact strategy, what happened the last time? The last time that we went up by this amount. Okay, let's get 133. Okay, we saw a run up of about 8,730%. In less than 24 months. So this would just tell me, well, if this thing is going to see massive run-ups like this, maybe that could happen again. Well, I don't know, but maybe I just want to say, hey, everything else looks like it's a bad investment. Maybe I just put a little bit of money towards this because this right here is a contrarian bullish indication right now. Now we still have 15 days left back in this month, so pay attention to that. But as of right now, you're starting to look like you're wanting to close above all these moving averages. You're above the 200, you're above the 5 month, you're above the 20 month, you're above the 50 month. So all of these are saying, hey, here's kind of a pull the trigger moment according to the MACD. This is not according to me. I'm not telling you to do anything with your momentum. I'm just teaching you what momentum does. And right now, momentum is giving you a bullish contrarian indication, and you have to see and be patient if that is going to happen throughout the most of the month. And that's why we look at weekly charts in the course to teach you how you know by the end of the month it is most likely going to go in that direction, and you can be a little bit safer with that investment. So if this starts to go positive, we could see a good move, and we could see a good move all the way up to 93.46. That is where I've calculated this move to as of right now. I think that a solid move for GME, if this monthly momentum does take over, is something at least at 93.46. Now that is a speculative target, but as of right now, I'm bullish. I need some kind of target to go to. If that would run up for a little bit and just cross right back over, I would be out of the move, right? We want to stay risk managed as we're still close to the center line. But as far as it goes across all of the stocks that we have looked at lately, all the stocks that they're telling you to buy do not look like good times to invest for the next 12 to 24 months. While this one right here, meaning GameStop, actually looks like, hey, it's starting to curl up. And we just showed you all those charts where when they curled up, that contrarian indication, you don't see as many wonky things on a monthly chart. So maybe that's just going to be a little bit bullish here. Now, one thing to pay attention to when you're investing is the dollar, because very simply, it's if people are in stocks, then they are not in cash, and cash will go down if they're buying stocks. But if you sell a stock, what do? You're selling a stock and then taking cash, right? So that means cash goes up when your cash value goes up when you sell a stock. So what would this tell us about the MACD for the dollar here? Well, the dollar here is in positive territory. That's been turning up for a while, but that monthly momentum has not taken over yet. When that monthly momentum does take over, what happens? Well, this was September 2021, and let's see, this bar right here took over, and boom, a lot of people going into cash here. So if that signal pops up again, I would say, ooh, that maybe says this is not a good time to invest. Now let's go look at this. September 2021. Okay, the dollar turned up on a monthly chart, contrarian indication. Right now we're in positive territory, by the way, if that turns up, but this was a contrarian indication. So let's see what the stock market did around September 2021. Let's flip over to the SPY and let's go all the way back to 2021, September, and let's look right here. Well, right here, we did see some weakness, but we saw a few more months of running up, and then we saw a big pullback. We actually saw a pullback. If you want to just take this low right here and pull it all the way down, we saw a pullback all the way down about 16% from when that dollar actually started to turn up. Sure, we went up for a few months. That's the rigged market. We talk about that a lot, but down 16%. So this was an opportunity to use the dollar and say, hey, this is the good signal from the dollar. Say, hey, this isn't the best time to invest. And then we see a few more run-ups. You think you're missing out, and then eventually you know you made a good decision because that came down about 16% from when you were out. So right here, now you're seeing that pull back up. We get that cross up, positive territory, risk managed, back in the play, boom, right here. And so you were in this move somewhere around here where we called that short squeeze, and now you're up about 20%. Okay, so this is overall what you have to look at. Using the dollar can really help you out in knowing when there is weakness or where there's insider selling, at least on a bigger scale. But I just wanted you to notice also that ever since this big run up, have we ever come back down to that level? No, we haven't. We haven't come back down to that level, yet the SPY is at a higher high. So really pay attention because there's fishy stuff going on all around. We're seeing a massive move higher in the dollar from our little zone here. If that crosses up on a monthly, hey, you might only have a couple months left because the dollar would then be telling you those charts that we just looked at that look like bad investments, the dollar would be confirming that they are bad investments. You can even use this for the bond market, right? We can see TLT make massive moves when it curls up and goes positive. Look at this point right here for TLT, seeing that at 120. And what do we notice happened once this actually did confirm some upward momentum? It never was able to cross back up. And this was a good 12 to 24 month investment here, wasn't it? 44.8%. That is better than the SPY will do. That is better than most people will do in the entire stock market trading back and forth on those smaller charts. Do you see how just zooming out? And also it gives you a lot of time to go touch grass, right? You don't have to pay attention to this all the time. That's why I really like monthly charts. So what is it telling us as of right now? And you may be thinking, hey, Lucas, I know you pointed out that 82.50. That seemed like a very good level. Is that looking good since your investment? Okay, well, I've sold out of that since then with my risk management, and now I'm thinking about getting back in. But right now, what do we see? When this crossed up, it was right here at 99.25, and we see a pullback. This is what we're going to talk about in the course to save you so you don't lose a bunch of money in that pullback. Get feared out of the move because sometimes you're going to convince yourself this thing can cross over. It's a mental game. It's a mental game. But what are we noticing? We're seeing a breakout. We're going to talk about this in the course. As of right now, that is not crossed over. Now, a key thing here was you actually had a little monthly divergence right here. You had that monthly divergence right there on the RSI as well. At the same time, down by 82.50. So as of right now, my risk management is there, but I'm probably going to be right back in this bad boy when we go through the weekly charts, and I'll talk about that in the course. As of right now, you have not curled over. Is TLT a good investment? Well, according to these, it would be kind of, right? It would be kind of, because you're kind of far away from the center line and you are in a contrarian bullish indication. So would this be a better investment, I would say, than going into something like Nvidia that is way, way up like this and the MACD is way, way up here? Well, this would say, the MACD that is, would say yes. Okay, so I know it wasn't our regular macro style video to show you some of the signals, but pretty much the signals have remained the same. My opinion is still the same. I still said, hey, we are going to most likely see some kind of stock market crash, some kind of bigger pullback in the next 30 days. And that was on the 25th. So I got about 10 days left to see if I'm right. We'll see if something crazy happens over the next 2 weeks, but I am perfectly comfortable being wrong. I am a trader. I am a flip-flopper, and that is perfectly fine. You want to be a flip-flopper. You want to be adaptable as a trader in this market. But when you zoom out and you really look at the bigger picture, you look at a monthly chart, you go, wow, that looks a lot easier. If that is something you're interested in, get that course. It's only $100 in the whole month of June. If you already took it, we're going to add that to that for free. You don't have to pay anything extra. You keep it forever. And you also can just watch that video multiple times to really understand how to do things. And you'll have a lot of time to really collect your thoughts. You have a lot of time to collect money in order to invest like this right here. So I hope this video was overall helpful. That's the overall goal of this video specifically, is to be very, very helpful and teach people a little bit more about how to know when to invest. And I think it's a lot of the important part of this video is we did not look at one fundamental thing. We did not look at one fundamental thing. We always just let momentum tell us what is happening, and I thought that was very cool. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I know I'm going to have a great weekend this weekend, so I'm pretty pumped. But I really want you guys to have a great weekend. If you dedicate yourself to some learning, I respect it. I still say go outside, do something fun this weekend, because this market is really ripping people apart. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys have all the luck in the world trading for the rest of the week, and I will see you Sunday for the shorter time frames and get you guys those weekly ranges. Peace out.